All right, we're going to do this one now. This is a nice data manipulation problem. Okay. Help the bookseller. A bookseller has lots of books classified in 26 categories labeled A, B through Z. Each book has a code C of 3, 4, 5, or more characters. The first character of a code is a capital letter, which defines the book category. In the bookseller's stock list, each code C is followed by a space and by a positive integer, where the integer is greater than or equal to 0. This indicates the quantity of books of this code in stock. For example, an extract of a stock list could be ABART 20, CDXEF 50, and etc. I won't read them all to you, but here's what they look like. We have a list of strings, and mind you that here I guess we have the or anyways. These problems are written for different languages, and in some languages an array or an array-like structure might be expressed with curly braces rather than square braces. So here we have more of our JavaScript looking presentation of that. Anyhow, here we have all the codes and the quantity for each one. You will be given a stock list, that's one of these, and a list of categories of, in capital letters, probably more properly said. So here's our capital letters. We have an array of A, B, C, W, etc. And your task is to find all the books of L with codes belonging to each category of M and to sum their quantity according to each category. For the lists L and M of the example, you have to return the string like so: A 20, B 114, C 50, W 0. Where A, B, C, W are the categories. 20 is the sum of the unique book category A, 114 the sum of corresponding to B, K, W, R, K, and B, T, S, Q, Z, 50 corresponding to C, D, X, E, F, and 0 to category W, since there are no code beginning with W. If L or M are empty, return the string as return an empty string. And in the result, codes and their values are in the same order as M. See sample test for the return. Great. This is a nice problem. There's nothing really hard in this problem, but it is the kind of problem I like because it requires several steps of preparing our data. I just realized I have hot coffee that I made that I didn't get. So I'm going to go excuse myself for a second to grab a cup of coffee, and you guys can spend a little more time reading the problem and see if you can get a good understanding of it. I will be right back. Okay, let's get started. Let's open our, let's just review the problem real quick. So here's our book list, right? As far as I can tell, we don't actually care how long the string is. We only care about the first character. The thing is, we don't know how long it is though. So it might be 5 characters, it might be more, right? It says that each book has a code called, they're calling it C, of 3, 4, 5 or more characters. So all of these, I think, are all 5, but it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5. All we care about is matching this first letter with this first letter, and then accumulating all of the totals of anything beginning with A. So in the final result, A was in our M list. And so then we go through L and we see, okay, here's one with A, and that's the only one with A. The total is 20. So we say the total of A is 20. Then this is not a minus sign, it's just like a dash. It kind of looks like a minus sign, at least I don't think it is. It's all returned in a string. So just a dash. And then we say, okay, B was in our M list. That's why it's here. And we find the quantity of B. Well, here's 25 and here's 89. Is there any other ones? No. So that's 114, 25 plus 89. And we see 114. And then for C, we have 50. And that's the only one. So that makes sense. And then W, and W is 0 because we do not have anything that's W. So we just put this here. Great. So let's get to our tests. And let BC and response. Let me just look at this here. And then they overwrite BC and response. Okay. So we'll just keep these, but comment them out. And we'll write some of our own here. So B is the book list. And of course, the base case here would be to have an empty book list. C is the list of codes that we want. And again, the base case would be an empty array. And the response in that case is an empty string, I believe. Let's go back and check that for sure. And then I want to call the assert equals here and say, given B, C, and the response, we expect, passing in B and C, we expect this response. Let me go check what it says. It says something like, if L or M are empty, return an empty string. Great. So here I'm just going to go to return an empty string and run that test. And we're good there. We've got a bit more to do here for our simple test cases. That is not what I want to do. Here we go. So let's just copy this out. And we'll say, okay, here, if I had A, F, E, D, S, 20, I still expect to get an empty string. I'm going to go ahead and write one more test, and that would be if I have C of P, but no books here, then I also expect an empty string. And with that, we're going to test it, and we're good. It works. Now, we don't have our tests in it blocks. Oh, it does. I'm sorry, it has an it block right here. So let's go ahead and close that one up. Like so. That's going to cause a problem here. And let's say it handles cases with no books or no codes. Here is no books and no codes. Here's no books. I'm sorry, no codes. No codes and no books. So we've got all of those cases covered. And now we'll write a new it block and uncomment that. I'm just going to move these out of here. That's not enough. Okay, and I'll just move them down here for later reference. It's nice that they have these already written out, so I'm happy to save them. They just don't belong here. All right, it handles cases with, what do we want to do next? We want to keep this pretty simple. Let's do one book with same code. So our case is going to look like our book will be AGEWS and 20, and our code will be A, and our response will be parenthesis A space colon 20, I believe is our correct response. Does that look right? Yes, we don't need a dash because we don't have anything else. So we just get that. Cool. And let's go ahead and run our test. Okay, we failed. No surprise. Let's start writing some code. So if we only had one and we knew we only had one, what would we write? And a very common mistake I see if you're doing test-driven development is someone says, oh, we need to write a loop. We do not need to write a loop. We don't have anything to loop over. We only have one element in each array. We can just go straight to that element. That is if you sort of jump ahead to writing a loop or iterating through things, you are missing one of the great benefits of test-driven development, which is that we discipline ourselves and we put blinders on ourselves like a horse. And I say, what if I just had to solve this problem in front of me while not breaking any of my past solutions? And with that, we limit what we have to look at one time. So first, let's write some protection for our first test. So I'm going to say if list of art dot length is not here, or list of category dot length is not here, return an empty string. Great. So that should protect the initial cases. And in our case, I think that's going to be fairly important. That is not always important. I pointed out in the last problem how that was not important, but in this case, it's at least for now, somewhat important. Okay. Now I want to say something like return list. Sorry, I'm doing this wrong. There we go. List of art at 0 plus a space plus this same kind of thing, except for its list of art at 0 dot split on a space at 1. I messed that up. Yep, I'm missing this here. Okay. The whole reason we do this and not worry about writing a loop is because this is already enough to be thinking about right now. It's like, okay, wait, what's going on here? Let's just break this apart. So list of art looks like this. Let me just throw this up here for a second. It looks like this. So if I say list of art at 0, let's just pull this whole string out and see how it evaluates. List of art at 0 here is this string here. So I can replace that and I can replace that. Now this at 0 is just A, the first index there. At least that's what I think it is. So that should evaluate to just A. And now that it's a string literal, we can take that away and won't have the quotes. It'll just be that. Okay, now we evaluate this side. If I take this string and I split it on an empty space, then I will get an array that looks like this, comma, this. Okay, and we can get rid of the split. And then I'm referencing the second part of this, right? We have 0 and 1 here. I'm referencing 1. So that would look like this. And now this will all break down to this. And I believe that is the correct string that I want. So that's how I would evaluate that to see if my code is correct. Just comment this out for right now. And let's go ahead then and run it and see if that works out. Oh, this we can delete. We don't need that anymore. We run our test. And I say, okay, oh, I forgot something. That is that the whole thing needs to have parentheses around it. My bad. Try again. Good. We handle cases with no books or no codes, and we handle case with one book and with the same code. Now, I didn't even worry about looking up if this code matches this book, since I specified in my test that it's the same one. That really just, again, focuses me on how would I format this string and without worrying about too many other parts of this problem at the same time. Any questions until here? Okay, let's keep going. Here we say it handles cases with one books with non-matching code. So here I have this, and here I'm going to put a B, and I should return a B with 0, I believe is how we do that. Let's just check down here. Can we see one? Yes, here's A does not match anything, and we get A of 0, B of 0. So I'll go back here and we'll run that test, and we see, oh, that doesn't work because I'm failing that latest test. So before we return this, let's go ahead and write another statement. If list of cat at 0 is equal to list of art, yes, at 0, 0, then we're going to return this. Otherwise, return. Now here we can do our string, and our string is going to be, let me write it like this. List of cat at 0 and 0. And don't forget, Jordan, to put the parentheses this time. And I think that's what we need. Let's run it. Great. So when it matches, we're going to return this formatted string. If it doesn't match, we're going to return this. Notice again, no loops so far, right? We're about to get there in our tests, but we've just kind of done one thing at a time. It may have been better to write this test first for a string that doesn't match before a string that does match, but I think it's, I don't know, I think it's kind of fine either way. Okay, on we go with another test. Here we'll say it handles cases with more than one book and a single matching code. So I'm going to leave this one here. I'm going to add another code here, and we'll call this BLPER. And now our result should be B20. B doesn't match this one, but it does match this one. And I think we're good to go. We run that. And we see, oh, we're failing. Okay, no problem. Now we're going to have to write a loop to iterate through. So let's start that up here. We're going to say for list of, for let category of list of category. Okay, now if I think it's this statement right here, right? If the, it's very similar to this. It's if category equals this. Think about this for a second. We have to go through all the categories and get a running total. All right, so let's do something like let total 0. Then we want to actually write another loop inside of here for let, excuse me. What do we call this? List of art. I don't know why they call it list of art when it's books, whatever. I'm going to change this, but then I have to change it everywhere. Nah, I'm going to leave it. For let book of list of art. Okay, if book at 0 is equal to category, total plus equals, and here we want to take this part right here, book dot split at 1, and let's make a number out of it so we don't have any problems. Yep, good. That should get us the total, and then we're going to have to change our code down here. So let's do an intermediary console.log for total and run it. Total is not defined. Let total, oh yes, I put total outside of this. We just need to define total out here, and then we'll set total to 0. No. Sorry, we've got to move this up into here. Keep this here, get rid of this. And we'll have to move this in a minute, but let's just go. All right, so here is our console log where we get 20, which is good. That's what we expect. And now we will move this line to here. Let me just look here for a second. Yep. Whereas instead of now doing all of this right here, we can just say we want to put in the total. Okay. Expected A0 to equal B0, correct. We also need to replace this right here to not be this anymore, but to be category. Run that. Great. And now we're passing all of our tests again. I'm curious, can I get rid of this and still pass everything? I think so. Yep, good. Can I get rid of this and still pass everything? Yes. So now we're ready to scrap all of this code. We've worked it all into our loop here. And let's go one more time. Good. We're almost done. Now we need, it handles cases with more than one book and with more than one matching code. So let's bring down a new case here. It handles cases with more than one book and more than one matching code. So we'll just try, keep this kind of simple. We'll have B and then A. So we should have B20 dash A 20. Yep, that is correct. Okay, I know we're not doing that yet, so let's see how this goes. Not good. We got B20 and we expected it to equal B at 20 dash A at 20. So we've got another step here, which is instead of returning immediately when we get our first match, we're going to have to accumulate these and then return them all together. So let's create a variable here. We'll say let, I guess we'll call this inventory, is equal to an array, not a string. I'll show you why in just a second. And then here, instead of returning this, let's push it to our inventory. Inventory dot push this string that we're building. And finally, when we return it, we want to return inventory dot join, where we're joining on a space and a dash and a space, since that's what this is asking us for here, space dash space. And let's go ahead and run that. All right, we're looking better and better. We're almost there. More than one book and more than one matching code. All right, now, yeah, let's write another case inside of this same one here. So I want the same, let's add another A. I want another entry for A down here. I want to say A, doesn't really matter, JHER. And here let's put, I don't know, 15. so that A should have a total of 35 books here. When A and A are added together, we get 35. Let's go ahead and test that. Looks good. We're good. We're rocking and rolling here. What else do we need to do? Oh, we need to do, I'm not sure if I should put this in the same case or not, but we need to do one like this where we have A, B, A, and W like they had. So here we add on W with a count of 0. I think we're failing this test right now. Let's see. Nope, we're not. Double check that I wrote the test correctly. Yep. That all looks good. Great. Okay, I think we're ready now to bring these last two tests in. I'm just going to put them under this same case here. Let's make sure we're passing both of these. We are good. I think we are done. Done. Go ahead. And there we go. We passed all of our tests. I don't know how many tests there are. It doesn't really show us. It looks like there's not many, but I'm sure there's a bunch. And we are ready to submit this problem. I think this is a nice problem. I find these kind of things easier to follow with test-driven development. I think it masks a lot of simplicity here that you're like, oh, I could have just written all of this out. Yeah, maybe you could have. And if you can, that is certainly a way to go, though test-driven development really has served me very well. Actually, you know what, test-driven development has served me more in terms of my thinking rather than in my coding, though I think it helps me a lot in my coding too. But it really changes the way that I think about problems, and for me, that has been hugely helpful.